I'm April Baer. You showed up during our end-of-year fundraising, and it matters. Thanks for supporting reliable news and staying connected in 2026 and beyond.
This is The Dish. I'm Mercedes Mejia. We're in the middle of working on a new season of the show. But with Dry January happening, we really wanted to share this next conversation. Maybe you're taking a break from drinking this month, or know someone who is, and rethinking your relationship with alcohol. That conversation is happening behind the bar, too. Today's story comes from Ann Arbor, where a sober bar manager is crafting some of the most thoughtful, zero-proof cocktails in the state. His name is Max Schikora.
If I can do it, I am one of the best drinkers alive. Anybody can do it, but it just takes work.
The conversation you're about to hear originally aired on Stateside from Michigan Public, where my colleague April Baer sat down with him. So while we're working on the next season of The Dish, we really hope you'll enjoy this conversation with April. Take it away.
We're at Echelon Kitchen and Bar in Ann Arbor today with bar manager Max Schikora. He's making us a drink. No alcohol, but all the flair.
So the kitchen roasts beets with cinnamon and star anise. So when they roast all their beets, the beets bleed all their juices out. I take that beet juice and I strain it, and then I turn it into this. So it's like a roasted beet syrup, which is really cool because roasting beets brings out some of the sweetness and tones down the earthiness that people find. The earthiness is what scares people about beets, I think, especially raw beets.
This is also a pretty good quality zero waste move, so good job.
That's intentional. Yeah, that's our big thing here is we don't waste anything. That is 100% by design.
So what are you going to do with this beet syrup for us today? Can you talk about how the inspiration came to you?
Honestly, I saw them roasting beets. And I looked at the pans. What do you got going on there? And they're like, oh, it's just, the beets. Joe explained to me what happens when you cook beets.
Joe Van Wagner is the executive chef and partner at Echelon.
How they some of the moisture comes out, and you get a lot of flavors. I saw all the spices in the pan. And I was like, can I have that? He's like, for what? I'm like, I want to make a syrup. He's like, yeah, it's a great idea. Actually, he was the inspiration because he was at 11 Madison Park. And he talked about how much there was a beet cocktail that he just loved. He doesn't drink either. So it was a spirit-free beet cocktail. And he's like, I really want to do something with beets. So we took Gia. Gia is actually an aperitivo that is designed, I think it's made in California. A lot of it's got yuzu in it, but it's got this is their berry, which by itself has got this really cool earthy, it looks like beets. So it just felt like a good fit. So this stuff we put in these speed pours because it's easier to pour. And then we're just adding lemon. This is a simple one. This is one of those weird situations where less is actually more. Mm-hmm. It's cool because you don't see one of the things, at least in spirit-free drinks, the big missing piece for most people that drink is bitter. Mm. Bitter's not you don't see that. It's just not real in most spirit-free drinks. And then you put the beet syrup and you shake it. It's easy. I also like carbonation. That's why I drink a lot of beer. Mm-hmm. Carbonation is really important. And then I got sober and drank so much soda water that my dentist is like, if you don't stop, you're not going to have teeth. So, which is not good either.
Oh, look at that color.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Honestly, it looks like blood.
Yeah.
In a good way.
It's like a garnet colored, opaque,
and it gets
just
that
little foam.
Foam on top.
Yeah.
Just super important. And then we want to make it look, like I said, one of the biggest parts, I think it's also just as intentional with any spirit-free drink, is that it has a garnish that makes it look like it's not just a glass full of sweet thing. So you just put a little lemon peel on, and that's it.
That's beautiful. All right, here goes. Oh. A few things. First of all, again, not as sweet as some beet cocktails that you might have tried, delicious, but also like it has a winter flavor that has nothing to do with peppermint or eggnog.
Yeah, thank you.
Max Schikora has made a name for himself with his craft cocktails while choosing to stay sober. In an industry where alcohol is the focus, his story says a lot about the pressures of bar culture and a quiet shift toward sobriety. You didn't start out in bar work. Can you tell us a little bit about your path into the industry?
Yeah, it was a weird one. I started out, I didn't even plan on ever working in a restaurant. Not once. And never did it cross my mind. Never did I want to do it. Never did it seem like something that was for me. I was in sales for a long time. I was selling high-end audio video systems, which was an accidental passion of mine. I just figured out I didn't know anything about it when I started, and I loved it. And I left that job, then I moved to Texas, and I was like a regional manager for a tech sales company. So that was, when I was in Texas, I just was not happy. And I came home and I had no job. A friend of mine was a general manager at a J. Alexander's, and he was like, I was talking to him just in jest, and he's like, dude, you should come work for me. And I was like, I don't want to do that. And he's like, you would do so well at it. You're great with people. You know, you went to school to be a teacher. You're in sales. He's like, it's all the same stuff, just with food. And they were pretty resistant to hiring me because I had no experience.
What job did you come in at?
So I came in as a server. So my friend like put himself on the line and was like, look, just hire him. And within 2 months I was training. So she's like, wow, you're really good at this. I'm like, yeah, because I told you I would be. You know, it was more about like, can I do this than like, will I be good at this?
So how'd you get behind the bar eventually?
That took a lot longer. I was there for five-ish years, and I left there and went to work at the Root in White Lake for Chef James Regato. I was there for 6 or 7 months. I had a little bit of time behind the bar there, but nothing major. And then he was opening Mabel Gray, and he hired me to be one of his opening team members. And I was there for...
In Hazel Park.
I was almost 10 years. At like year 5.5, our bar manager that was existing decided he wanted to leave. And then they were like, you know, do you want to try? You're the only one who has any experience in that way. And I was like, I mean, I guess. It sounds like something I've always wanted. Let's just try it and see how it goes. And then I was the bar manager, like, immediately. I also had just become sober. So they were like, hey, do you want this job? And I remember telling my AA sponsor, hey, I got a job as a bar manager. And he's like, you need to not do that. He's like, touching alcohol all day, every day. Do you think that's something you can do? And I was like, I really don't see why not. As long as I don't drink it.
When we come back, Max opens up about the turning point that led him towards sobriety and what it's really like to stay sober while running a bar.
I was very lucky early in my career to have so many good palates around. Like, hey, is this good? No, too acidic. Is this good? No, too strong. Is this too good? No, it's too sweet. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Don't go away.
I'm April Baer. You showed up during our end-of-year fundraising, and it matters. Thanks for supporting reliable news and staying connected in 2026 and beyond. Can I ask a little bit about your journey towards sobriety? Because, I mean, a lot of people know that service industry is extremely high pressure. And there are plenty of people who work in this field who turn to alcohol or stronger stuff, you know, just to get through the insane hours and just the schedules. Mm-hmm. Do you mind sharing a little bit about how you turned your life in this direction? Yeah.
So for me, it wasn't really an accident. I was always drinking. I mean, I liked doing it. At the time, it shut my mind off. You get home, high pressure days, a lot of stress, and I needed to decompress. And I didn't know any other real way. You know, it started heavily when I was working at J. Alexander's because everyone there, it was every night was a celebration. Every night was a party. Every night we're at a different bar. We're at someone else's house. We were at another restaurant. And it was like connection, right? Like the connection that you crave is a human being, individual in any way, shape, or form, you can find very easily in alcohol, especially with other people that are like accidentally drawn to self-destruction. It's really easy to fall into that trap. You know, you go out, you're having fun, and next thing you know, you wake up and it's the next day and you're like, whoa, what just happened? And I probably, if I was smart, I would have stopped drinking in 2009. If I was smart. But I wasn't aware of how bad the problem had gotten until COVID.
Like 11 years after.
Yeah, COVID.
Yeah.
COVID's like where it's, I mean, that's where it really got bad because I had no job. Well, not the job I wanted. Luckily for us, the owner of Maple Gray, Ed Mamu, was such a wonderful human being that he let us work for his storage facility and recycling company. So we were working for him, which was awesome, but 8 to 5 every day, lifting heavy boxes, not ideal. And I'm going home like I can't see anybody. I can't talk to any of my friends. I had just gotten sober, so I didn't want to connect with anybody I used to be hanging out with because they all wanted to do the same stuff. So I was by myself trying to get sober, and it wasn't working. I mean, every day I was, just drinking myself into just a coma and then waking up and doing it again and again and again. And then
Max, that year just sounds completely wild in terms of change. Like most of us can live 10 years without having that much change as you did in 1 year.
yeah, it was a lot of curveballs, you know? And I woke up one day and I was like, I don't want to drink anymore. I don't. And I haven't since. Something clicked. I don't know what it was. I'm not entirely certain if it's some sort of like higher power situation or just me realizing that there's only really 2 ways out of being an alcoholic, right? You go to jail or you die, right? There's no other way around it. So I got sober just because I was like, dude, I can't live like this. Like I just couldn't keep doing the same things. And then everything else, if I remove that one thing, did I know that my whole life was going to be 100 times better? The answer is absolutely not. I had more money. I had more friends. I didn't have to apologize. I didn't have to worry about what I did the day before. But then comes the hard part where you have to go and do all the work. I mean, I chose to go to AA because I was like, everyone I know that has gone there is no longer in the same place, right? Mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And it was kind of annoying at first because you walk in and it's 7 o'clock in the morning and everyone's happy and they're laughing and you're like, what is up with this? Like, I almost didn't like it. Mostly because I wasn't like that. You feel like an outsider whenever you walk into a room and everyone's hugging everybody and you're like, no one here touched me. It's too early. I hate all of you. Right? It just doesn't feel good to be an outsider until you realize that you're not. People that you don't know are telling you like, hey man, how long's it been? I'm like, 2 days. It's like, oh my God, great job. That's amazing. And I'm like, yeah, like if I could get 5, that'd be great. And they're like, no, just get one more. And then next day, just get one more. And that was almost 6 years ago.
So you were in a traditional program, and you said your sponsor thought that your whole life vocation was a bad idea. When you got back to work behind the bar, were there things about it that, I mean, you say you felt like you could do it. Did that turn out to be true? That it was not as bad a transition as people assumed?
No, it wasn't as bad as they assumed. It wasn't as bad as I assumed, more importantly. I thought it would be like impossible to do what I do. Like, who does that, right? I'm not going to touch anything. I'm going to make cocktails completely blind. I'm not going to taste anything that I make. I'm just going to trust recipes. And then if I don't trust the recipe, I'm reaching out to other people, which is already hard because you're already a bartender. You're already making things. People assume they come from you. Then you're asking other people, hey, like, even though you trust them, I was very lucky early in my career to have so many good palates around. Like, hey, is this good? No, too acidic. Is this good? No, too strong. Is this too good? No, it's too sweet. And I'm like, oh, okay. But I don't taste anything that I make.
Yeah. You can answer this either in terms of back in like 2021 or today. When you're looking for a palate or a second opinion, are you more likely to go to one of your coworkers or one of your customers?
Oh, always a coworker. Most customers, most guests, if they know me, they're already biased. They'll tell me it's good even if it's not as good as it could be. I know my friends can be a little bit more honest. You know, like if I make something and I say, hey, is this good? And I give it to a sommelier or to a chef, they're going to say, it could be better.
Yeah.
Right? Like people that no one wants to upset you, especially when they're on the other side of the bar. Right? People behind the bar that work with me, we have said each other all the time. It's part of the job. You know, but like being outside, no guest wants to tell a bartender that the drink they just made is trash. The recipe ensures consistency. Once the recipe's right and the recipe's dialed in and you know this is what it's going to taste like, that's why we measure. You know, free pouring bartenders, I mean, I'm envious, but I would never do that.
Echelon's program is very much in step with, you know, the norms of white tablecloth service in that there is a full selection of mocktails here.
Yeah.
Are there ways that I understand that alcohol is a big force multiplier in recipes, but are there ways that, you know, still tasting mocktails and you know, keeping a beat on what you're doing in that sense keeps your brain engaged about what the alcoholic recipes are going to taste like?
I think, it's all about balance with really anything, you know, and alcohol is interesting because it adds a different balance, right? You add, because ethanol has a different viscosity than most spirit-free liqueurs or spirit-free, you know, mixers. They're thin. They don't have that mouthfeel. So you have to fight that sometimes, right? Whether that means a little bit more acid, a little bit less acid, a thicker sweetening agent, sometimes even a carbonated beverage, like what our friend Indeed cocktail that's on the menu that's spirit-free is floated with a non-alcoholic Chardonnay because it needs texture, right? That's what cocktails have, is texture. And sometimes these flat spirit-free drinks don't have any body and people drink them. They're like, it's just thin. And that's boring.
Have you noticed a shift in customers' attitudes towards non-alcoholic cocktails?
Oh, 100%. If they're well made, absolutely. There's a lot of people that have been to places, they've been to bars. Everyone's like, yeah. Because you go to a bar and you order a drink and it's like this glass of sweet, garbagey juice and with garnishes in it. And there's no thought. Mm-hmm. And our attempt is to always make drinks that are as thoughtful and as intentional as is a spirit-based drink that has alcohol in it.
You've been fortunate, you know, like working with Chef Regato and here at Echelon, you know, these are places where there's a little bit more room for people to you know, show care for their employees and, you know, a lot of intention in practice. Do you think there are things that the industry can do to be more supportive of people who are into sobriety?
I mean, I think anymore it's not as surprising as it used to be, right? Like 16 years ago when I started at a restaurant, I don't know that there was one sober person in that building, right? And when I was working at Mabel, there's several. Here, there's like 7 or 8. So like even here, we host our Ben's Friends meeting. So Ben's Friends is a national organization designed specifically to keep people in the industry sober. Chef Joe Van Wagner and Jennifer Danley, who's also an employee here, the three of us run it together. So every Wednesday from 10 to 11, we come here and we have coffee and we sit down and we talk. It's different than AA though. Like AA is a lot more, it's the commonalities are still connection, right? That's the biggest one, is people forget that isolation creates a perfect environment for addiction to flourish. So connection is the most important part. Also talking about your feelings. In this industry, that's not normal, right? If you walk into a restaurant and people are talking about their feelings, that's not a thing most places.
It sounds like, you know, whereas AA is an actual program, Ben's Friends seems more like an ongoing community of support.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. It's designed so that people know they can do this even when they stop drinking. Because there are so many bartenders, there are so many servers, there are so many line cooks. I think that sobriety means these 4 walls they're no longer included. If you're not going to play in that area of life, then it's not for you. And that is just simply not the case. And if I can do it, like I am one of the best drinkers alive. And the reason I'm still alive is because I stopped, right? Because I'm not good at anything else when I drink. So, and I tell people that at the meetings, like, I don't know, I've had so many people, I don't know if I can be a bartender anymore. I'm like, yeah, it must be hard because I've only done it for almost 6 years. So like, I don't know. You might be able to do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. But it just takes work.
That was Max Schikora, bar manager at Echelon Kitchen and Bar in Ann Arbor. His story is a good reminder that the people making our food and drinks bring their whole lives into the work, and that intention really does matter. A big thanks to April Baer for bringing us this conversation. We've added a link to Ben's friends in our show notes. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, help is available. Call or text 988 or visit the Lifeline chat to connect with a trained counselor. And while we're putting together a new season of The Dish, I'm really glad we can share the story with you today. If you've got a Michigan story you think we should know about, send it our way at thedish@michiganpublic.org. I'm Mercedes Mejia. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. The Dish is produced by me, Mercedes Mejia, with Ronia Kabansag and Laura Weber Davis. The Dish is a production of Michigan Public.